Hello, beautiful people. Today I've got a little bit of a different episode, and in fact, it's not really an episode for you necessarily, it's mainly an episode for me. So I'm doing my 2024 highs, lows, reflections, and lessons learned. Like I said, this episode is mainly for me, perhaps for future me, just to kind of remember and internalize some of the lessons I've had from this year, review some of the highs, review some of the lows, and I'm happy for you to share along and listen along and see what I've learnt, and maybe you can get some ideas around how I do my annual review and some of the lessons that I've learnt, and maybe apply them to your life and to your business. So I start with our business performance review. We've had a very, very strong year. So we've had 120% year-on-year revenue growth. We've had 83% year-on-year profit growth. It's been a very solid year. We've now got a solid team in all roles. So that's something that is really, really important to me, because I want to be an example for our clients. I don't want to be saying one thing and doing another. I've seen many other, and you kind of cringe. I use the in quote marks, the word thought leaders, but I've seen a lot of thought leaders who don't practice what they preach. They're known or they're famous for something that they talk about, but they don't actually implement them themselves. I've gotten to know a lot of people in our industry, and I've often been shocked by seeing what they actually do versus what they actually say. So it's really, really important to me to be authentic. And, if we're preaching some of the marketing things that we do and the things that we talk about, revenue growth, team growth, all of those sorts of things, that we're actually doing them ourselves. It's a very important core value for us. A big thing that we did, we really revolutionized our sales team this year. We rebuilt that from scratch. And by the way, all of these strong business performance things, everyone in the team had a very important hand in it. And especially our leadership team our CEO, Anna, worked extremely hard to achieve these numbers and did an incredible job. So hats off to Anna and hats off to the team. So that's kind of business performance. And really, a lot of my reflection and a lot of review will be non-business related. So like I said, this is for me. And if you'd like to follow along, you're very welcome. So early in the year, literally to the day today, a year ago today, I lost one of my close friends. He lost his life to a brain tumor, which was very, very sad. And, shit kind of gets real when someone who you went to school with, someone who you shared a lot of time with, a lot of laughs, all of those sorts of things, passes away. He's the first friend who's kind of been close to me, who's my age, who has passed away. So that was a real wake up moment. We've got to live every moment. So this is him here on the left. His name was Razor. This is young Allan Dib. This is literally the day. This is the engagement party. So me and my wife will have been married 25 years this year. So this is exactly 25 years ago at our engagement party. So rest in peace, old friend Razor. He was a great guy, and he's very, very much missed. So time flies, man. I remember just being in school and shenanigans with him and everybody else, and it's crazy. It's crazy how fast time goes. A highlight this year was that I launched my new book, Lean Marketing. It's been an incredible success. I've got so much great feedback from people all over the world about it. I'm incredibly proud of it. It really took up, probably a good 2 years of my life in terms of both writing, editing, focus, research, all of those sorts of things. So to me, it was a huge, huge milestone to get that out to the world. And honestly, by the time it got out, I was kind of sick of it. I was sick of hearing about it, sick of reading it, sick of listening to it, all of those sorts of things. And I think that's at the point at which a project, you've just got to let it go. And say, look, I've done my very best, and this, it is what it is. So fortunately, it's been very well received. It got launched in early May, and I kind of didn't have a solid post-project plan. I sort of meandered a little bit for a few months. I was a little bit lost after launching it. I mean, I did the normal podcast thing, did some speaking, did all of that sort of thing, but I didn't have a solid plan on another good, big, meaningful project to move on straight after it. I felt like I spent quite a few months on just busy work, on kind of distractions and things like that. So that's a lesson that I've learnt, that if you're coming to the end of a big project, to have something new and meaningful to move on to next. It doesn't mean that you can't take a break between it, but I feel like I was a little bit lost after it, and I meandered and wasted a bit of time, which I really shouldn't have. Another very meaningful project to me is we launched our new podcast. So this podcast is something that's a very, very important project to me, to my team, to our clients, and we've been getting really great feedback. We've had amazing guests. So this is Mandy, a local artist in my area. I got her to help me create a really nice podcast studio. So she recreated a Banksy there. We've got a nice background, which you can't really see it fully in this video, but you will have seen it in many other videos. I got my studio properly set up with good camera equipment and teleprompters and lights and microphones and all the rest of it. So I've been having a lot of fun with the podcast, and this year I'm really doubling down, as I'll show you some of what I'm planning and what I'm doing this year, but I'm really doubling down on the podcast. It's a very, very important medium. It's something that I'm incredibly passionate about, and I'm really going to focus a lot of my energy and time on it. I travelled to some amazing places. So a few of the places I went to were the Gold Coast and Sydney in Australia. So I did some speaking there. I visited Singapore. So there I am at the top of the building of the Marina Bay Sands in Singapore. We travelled to LA, Miami, New York, San Francisco, Nashville, Kelowna in Canada, and Victoria in Canada. Did some great speaking events, had a really, really good time speaking and meeting a lot of people all over the world. So this is a keynote I did in Miami for an agency event. Here I am visiting the Met in New York. So I had a friend who's an expert at all things museum. So we had a nice guided tour in the Met. I believe that's a Van Gogh. I'm not an artist or expert in art. Had a bit of time off and visited some friends in Kelowna and in Victoria in Canada. So between Australia, Canada, various parts of the United States, we had some good travel time. One of the things that really was a highlight of my year was spending time with incredibly high-level people at high-level events. They really elevated my thinking. They really inspired me, gave me new ideas. So here we are. This is an author event that I went to in Nashville. We're at Donald Miller's house, so Donald Miller of Storybrand, but really there's in that photo is kind of the who's who of non-fiction authors, and just to spend 2 days with them over meals, over discussions, over talks and things like that, and time just chilling out and chatting and just sharing ideas freely and being able to inspire each other and all of those sorts of things. That was really a big highlight in my year. So I'm looking forward to doing that again this year. I attended another very high-level event in Victoria, and there I got to meet a lot of entrepreneurs and leaders and SaaS software entrepreneurs and things like that. And again, able to exchange ideas and very high-level thinking. So that's something that I'm definitely going to double down on this year, and I'll talk about that in a little bit in a moment. Spent time with my leadership team working on strategy. So there's Anna and Sarah and Nathan and myself. We're here in San Francisco. We had a nice sail on the bay. But really one of the things that I walked away with based on that was that we want to do less and focus more. We want to focus more on the things that are really working well in the business, double down on those, and eliminate distractions. It's so easy as an entrepreneur to just add. So add a new product, add a new line of service, add a new whatever. and often they're distractions. When you look at what's actually working, what's doing really well, if you can just double down on those things, you'll often do much, much better than adding things. So now I spend a lot of time thinking about, how do I simplify? How do I remove? What are the things that I can get rid of? I recently read a book called Essentialism, which is exactly that. And, one of the lessons in the book is that you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And that was a real takeaway for me this year, not just from the book, but just from my own experience. And that's something that I've internalized, and it is something that you have to fight against as an entrepreneur, because we thrive on novelty, the new thing, the next thing, what can I add, all of those sorts of things. In August, I got a dog, and a few months later, we gave away the dog. So we gave him away to a friend. We're actually babysitting him right now while they're on holidays. But one of the things my wife and I figured is we just love our freedom too much. We love to be able to travel at the drop of a hat. We love to be able to just have our own time. And, we don't have children or any of those sorts of things. So as much as I loved having the dog, we realized, hey, this is like a kid, right? He needs to be walked every day, groomed, fed, taken to the vet, wormed, all of those sorts of things. And it was something that I was kind of kicking myself over after we'd gotten him. But, fortunately, most decisions that you make in life are reversible, and this was one of them. And we made sure he went to a good home, to one of our friends, and we still get to see him often, which is kind of cool as well. So he's over at our house for a week and a half now while they're on holidays. So it's nice to be able to be the uncle rather than the dad, so to speak. I massively upped my fitness level this year. So over the last few years, I've been on a fitness journey. I went from working out 3 days a week to working out 6 days a week. One of the insights I noticed from networking with a lot of high-level people is almost exclusively, it was a weird thing to notice, but almost exclusively they all work out 6 days a week. It was very unusual to meet someone who was a very high performer who didn't work out 6 days a week. And also I wanted to really level up my body, which I did. So I rebuilt my home gym. I didn't want to have to get in a car and go somewhere and all of those sorts of things. I wanted to remove as much friction as possible. I already had a home gym, but I really up-leveled that since I was going to be working out 3 days a week. So that was a nice win, and that's something that's just become a normal part of my routine. I had my 30-year high school reunion. Can you believe it? It's been 30 years since I left high school. So that's a high school behind us, Melbourne High School. And here I am with some of the boys recently. So it was cool to get together with, people I'd gone to school with. And there were a lot of surprises, people who you thought, would do amazing things were maybe not doing amazing things, and people who you thought were not going to do amazing things did, so there were quite a few surprises there. But it was really cool to catch up with everyone there, see the school. We got a tour of the new facilities in the school and the school history archive and all of that sort of thing. So, but again, man, yeah, feeling old, right? 30 years, it feels like just yesterday. Time really flies. I started to say yes a lot to new experiences that I normally would have said no to, and that's going to be part of my mindset going forward. Often I'd just say, nah, that's not for me, I'm not into that or whatever. And here I'm kind of, I may look like I've got a smile, but I'm really regretting being there. But it was definitely a different experience. So here I am with Dave Jennings of Systemology fame. Here I am in the middle, and we're in a mosh pit in a heavy metal concert, which is a disgusting, revolting experience. I've got shirtless, drunk people just, wiping their sweat on you as they push through. All sorts, you're being covered in fluid, which, who the hell knows what it is. I was hoping it was only urine. So it was a truly disgusting experience. So I don't recommend it, but I gotta say it was something different, that's for sure. So I'm going to be saying yes to more and more experiences, and I'll discuss some of my framework going forward around that. So that was kind of the highs and lows of my year, and part of every year towards the end of the year, I do an annual review process. One of the first things I do is I have an annual review day, and my friend Dr. Ben Carvoso implemented that and shared that with me. So what I do, I review my calendar, I review my to-do lists, I review all the photos that I took throughout the year, I review text messages, and I just spend a few hours going through all of those and kind of remembering the year. What were some of the highlights? What were some of the things that I attended? And that's where I kind of pulled out some of these photos that I've been reviewing, and there were tons more, but these were some of the most memorable ones. And then I ask myself 7 questions, and these credit Sahil Bloom. So he came up with these, I believe. But anyway, I first heard them from him, and the 7 questions are: what did I change my mind on this year? What created energy this year? What drained energy this year? Who were the boat anchors in my life? What did I not do because of fear? What were some of my greatest hits and misses? And what did I learn this year? So those are questions that I spent quite a bit of time contemplating, reviewing my photos, my to-do lists, my calendars, my travel schedule, and all of those sorts of things. And for me, some of these questions were very hard to answer, and in some cases they were very easy to answer. So for example, what created energy this year? Well, for me this year, what created energy was the launch of the book. That really created energy for me. Traveling, especially to some of these high level events, sharing ideas with some of these people, that really created energy for me. I got a lot of inspiration, a lot of energy, a lot of ideas, and a lot of motivation from that. Things that drained energy from me this year were things like meetings, admin work, those sorts of things. Things that were, on reflection, things that I had said yes to, either out of obligation or out of habit, or just because, hey, we've got a recurring meeting or whatever else. So I'm going to be a lot more careful about saying yes to things, because often we'll say yes to things that are kind of far into the future, and then when they come, you're like, oh, man, why did I agree to this? Why did I say yes to that? So one of the frameworks I'm using around that now is, would I say yes to it if it was like next week? So that's something that's, I think, a really good filter, because often if it's January now and someone says, hey, in November, can you do this, that, or the other? You're like, that feels like a world away. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Then November rolls up and you're like, man, why did I do that? This doesn't align with my goals or my vision or anything else. I like this question: who were the boat anchors in my life? So who were the people that you could really rely on? Who were the real boat anchors in your life? I think it's important to think about them and make sure that your relationships there are solid. What did I not do because of fear? What an important question. What's something that you're maybe like hedging your bets on, something that you're unsure about and you should be doing, but you're like, like I was talking to someone recently and they were saying, I'm going to just do this work for the next few months and then I'll do the work that I actually want to be doing. And it's kind of like the person who wants to start a rock band and they're like, I'll do this crappy job that I hate for a few years, just get solid on my feet, make a bit of money, and then I'll start the rock band. And it never ever happens. They get married, they have kids, they've got a mortgage, all of that sort of thing, and their dreams kind of go by the wayside. So what are you not doing because of fear? What am I not doing because of fear? So that's something that I've reflected on. What were my greatest hits and what were my greatest misses? I think it's important to reflect on both of those, celebrate the hits, and not beat yourself up over the misses, but really think about how are you going to change things up, how are you going to do things differently. And then importantly, what did you learn this year? I think for me, one of the biggest learnings this year was you can do anything but you can't do everything. And just the power of focus. I know, obviously, it's something that I know. It's something that I've literally written in my book, and I think it's something incredibly important, something that we all know instinctually, but we often say yes, like I said, out of obligation, or because it's something that's kind of a little bit far away and you think you'll be able to cram it in and all of those sorts of things. Now, that was kind of my 2024, and they were some of my reflections. And that kind of set me up for my 2025. My 2025 goals and systems. And if you've read any of my books, you'll know I'm much more of a systems person than I am a goals person. It's not that I don't care about goals. It's not that I don't believe in goals. I absolutely do. But I often give this example. So if I lift 6 days a week, which I do, how much muscle will I put on by December? I mean, I could take a guess. I could take a stab. The real answer is we don't really know. But the answer is I'll definitely put on muscle. I'll definitely be in a better position than I am now. And so that's really what I'm focused on. I'm focused on the system. So if I've got a system to lift weights 6 days a week, I know at the end of the year, I'm going to be further along than where I am now. Now, maybe I might have a loose goal in my mind. So I call this loose goals, tight systems. And if you've read my book, Lean Marketing, I talk about that a little bit, about loose goals, tight systems. Loose goals set the direction. So what direction do we want to go in? So for example, for me, I want to build muscle. I want to get stronger. And so that's my loose goal. And then I set up my tight system. My tight system is, okay, every single day in my calendar, I've got a slot where this is workout time. And I treat this like a client appointment. Just like I wouldn't not show up for a client appointment, I just wouldn't not show up for, a lifting session. And, sometimes things get in the way. So yet maybe you have to move it around. Maybe you have to shorten it. Maybe if you have to change it up or whatever. But like I said, I treat it as important as a client appointment. I wouldn't just like, you know what, I don't feel like seeing this client today. I just think I'm just not going to show up. I would never do that, and I think most professional people would never do that. So treat yourself at least as important as you would treat a client. Now, one of the things I like to do whenever I think about a new project is think about what's the North Star? What's the direction? So what's the loose goal? What's the North Star? What's the guiding principle going to be that I'm going to live by in terms of that goal? And so for me, and really both my personal and business life, is quality of life for me and all of those around me. I want to positively affect those who work for me, those who are my friends, those who are my family, those who are around me. And I want them to have a quality of life. Now, not everybody's North Star is the same. Some people are like optimizing for maximum money or maximum time or maximum whatever. And that's totally fine. It's totally fine to have a different North Star. To me, quality of life is the North Star. And a lot of that comes down to doing hard things. A lot of it is thinking about what's the maximum amount, what's the minimum effective dose going to be? So what's the minimum effective dose of free time, of money, of all of those things that will help you kind of master that art of living? I love this quote: "The master of the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his education and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he's working or playing. To him, he's always doing both." What a great quote. And, I've often, sometimes I'll be on the couch on the laptop and my wife will ask me, "Are you working?" Often I don't know how to answer that. Sometimes I'm reading, and reading can be for pleasure or reading can be for research. And sometimes I'm thinking about something, or sometimes I'm writing, or sometimes I'm reading a blog post or whatever. So I really want to live this quote. I want to be a master in the art of living. And so I've thought deeply about, how do you do that? How do you become a master in the art of living? So I'm not claiming that this system is perfect, but I think this is what I've come up with, so I'm happy to share it with you. So every year I come up with a theme for the year. What's my theme for the year going to be? This year it's storytelling. I want to become a world-class storyteller, both in spoken word, in written word, in connecting with people. I want to become a world-class storyteller. So that's kind of my big picture theme for the year, and I'm going to look for things that really align with that theme. Then I like this quote. I think it was Warren Buffett or maybe Charlie Munger who said it. He said, take a simple idea and take it seriously. And to me, the simple idea that I take seriously is systems above goals. So as I mentioned earlier, loose goals, tight systems. And the simple idea that I'd like to share with you here is the idea of a perfect day. And a perfect day is kind of a systemized day. So for me, I've thought, what are the 3 work things I want to do each day? And what are the 3 personal things I want to do each day? I've kind of split it up into work and personal, but really they're very much interrelated. And remember we talked about being really just removing things, just paring down to the essential. What are the essential things I need to get done to really have a perfect day, to become a master in the art of living? So for me, from a work perspective, number 1 is writing. So I want to write every day, and particularly long form writing, whether it's a book, whether it's some of our newsletter content, whether it's whatever scripts for videos and things like that. So I want to write every day. I want to get better at writing and storytelling. Similarly, I want to speak every day. And when I say speak, that might be speaking live, but obviously you can't necessarily do that every day. But recording a piece of content, any piece of content, it might be a 1-minute video, could be a longer video like this, it could be a podcast, it could be something like that. So I want to write every day, I want to speak every day. And then I mentioned earlier that one of the things that really gave me energy was connecting with high-level people. So I want to maybe send a text to someone once a day, or send them a handwritten note, congratulate, compliment, console someone on something. So basically, people in my network, people that I know, I want to keep in touch with them. I don't think I've been really good at that over the years, and it's something that I really want to improve, become someone who's building a strong, solid network, not for a selfish reason, but because, I think that exchange of ideas, that exchange of inspiration, that exchange of education can be so valuable for both people. So from a work perspective, there are 3 things I want to do each day. From a personal perspective, I want to lift every day. I want to walk every day. And walking is not just exercise. It's really just clearing your mind. And I feel like it's almost like meditation. I've never had a good meditation practice. And I don't know, maybe one day I will, but I don't at the moment. So for me, walking is it. And then reading. A lot of times books come from books. You'll get an idea, you'll get a phrase, you'll get a whatever from a book. So they're 3 things I want to do each day, personally and professionally. And if I get those 6 things done, I've had a perfect day. And if I can have a few perfect days, I can probably have a perfect week. And if I have a few perfect weeks, I can have a perfect month. And then if I have a few perfect months, I'll have a perfect year. Now, obviously, we can't be perfect. So not every, something will come up, an emergency will come up where I can't get all these 6 things done. Something will come up, there'll be a priority that really needs my attention or whatever. So I'm giving myself a little bit of leeway. I figure if I get 4 out of 6 things done every day, I can mark that off as having won the day. So if I can win the day, and then if I can win multiple days, and then if I can win multiple weeks, multiple months, I'm going to have an amazing year. But I'm doing my days intentionally. So I know top of mind, I've got 6 things I want to get done today, ideally, but I definitely want to get at least 4 of them done. So to me, 4 out of 6 will be a win, and it's okay to be imperfect. I have this idea of consistently underachieving. A lot of times we won't start or do something unless we can do it perfectly. And it's just a form of procrastination. So I call it consistently underachieving. Just do some little thing that moves you towards your goal each day. Do a little thing. So for me, it could be 10 minutes of reading just before bed, and then I'll mark that off as a win. It doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be 3 hours or whatever. A walk. Maybe it's a walk around the block that takes 10 minutes. So whatever it is, I'm going to consistently underachieve, but I'm going to be consistent. So I think that's really how you win the long game. Yeah, sprinting is great, but it's kind of to me, the turtle and the hare. The hare is one way to do it, but the turtle often wins more often than not. And then I've got three things that I want to fix in my life. So from a health perspective, I've had energy dips, particularly in the afternoon, just where my energy levels just really dive. I've done all blood tests. My health is great. My eating is great. My fitness is great. So I'm not quite sure what it is, but anyway, that's something that I want to fix this year. So I'll be working with an expert to get that fixed. From a wealth perspective, while I'm pretty good there, I don't have a solid investment strategy. It's kind of been very haphazard. I'll invest in something that I like or I see, or something that takes my fancy at the time or whatever. I want to be much more intentional and have a real strategy where, I make 2 or 3 moves a year and that's it. I'm not kind of just in and out of the market. I'm not, following just my emotion and things like that. So while I've done well from a wealth perspective over the years, like I said, sometimes it's just been blind luck. Sometimes it's just been that I've been there, but it certainly hasn't been from a very solid, well thought out strategy. I think about someone like Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, who are just so intentional, who are so thoughtful about their investment strategy. And so that's some of what I want to implement this year. From a spiritual perspective, I want to implement either a meditation or some sort of spiritual practice. And the other thing I want to get done in my spiritual life, I'm sort of attributing it to spiritual life, is contribution. So how can I give this year? And I've got a few thoughts on that. I'm still working on it, but that's not something that I've done a lot of in the past. I've not done much in terms of philanthropy, a lot of giving. So that's something that I'm thinking about this year, not necessarily in terms of a lot of money or whatever, but whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's ideas, whatever it is, I think that's an important part of a spiritual practice. So that's something I want to get done. Another couple of systems that I'm implementing. So like I said, one of the systems is kind of the perfect day, kind of the idea of the perfect day and getting 4 out of those 6 things done. The other systems that I'm implementing is 1 mini adventure per month and then 1 huge year defining adventure per year. So if I can walk away with 12 mini adventures in the year, or maybe call it 11 mini adventures in the year, and then 1 huge year defining adventure per year, well, I think that's going to be an amazing year to look back on. Because I think often the weekend rolls around and again, well, I hang out with family and friends and things like that, and we shoot the breeze and go out to dinners and things like that. Sometimes I walk away from that a little bit dissatisfied. I'm like, had I spent a little bit of time really planning something for this weekend or whatever, I think we would have got more out of it. And, like I said, it's been 30 years since I left school, feels like yesterday. So the days just really fly past. So that's one thing that I really want to implement, be much more intentional about weekends and time off and mini adventures. And then 1 big, huge year defining adventure per year. So something that you've got a good chance of not achieving. So this year, I've already got my huge year defining adventure planned. I'm going to do a 5-day trek in the Tasmanian wilderness with a few friends. I've literally never been camping before, so this is going to be something, a real baptism of fire for me. So yeah, I'll let you know how that goes. So that's in March, and then I've got a few mini adventures already planned out, and I'm aiming to have 1 mini adventure per year. I want to make the most of this life, and I want to become a master in the art of living. So that's really going back to my North Star. So I hope that was something that you enjoyed listening to. Like I said, this episode is mainly for me and something that I might go back to and listen to over the years. And if you've gotten something out of it as well, that's awesome. Till next time, bye for now.